What's up, everybody? It's Lo, your host, and almost all of the Vols ATB crew with Brando and Drew. Alex is not here tonight. He is in finals, so we will give him a pass, I guess. Uh, wishing him the best, though, on all of his finals. But tonight, before we dive into a bunch of stuff, we just wanted to kick off with an announcement. We announced it on our last show, but we wanted to kind of get the ball rolling because it's coming up soon. So Friday, August 19th, 7 to 8:30 Eastern Time, all of us will be at Skybox Knoxville on Gay Street, and I have the clearance to announce that we are also going to have Juice Davis and Troy Fleming joining us for our live preseason predictions. I'm so excited about this. It is going to be so fun. Go ahead, Brenda.
No, I was just going to say, absolutely pumped up. I expect a crazy environment on a Friday, pre-kicking off the karaoke night. So I expect the Vols ATB crew finally full in effect in person. Hella excited. So
it's going to be a great environment. I'm sure I'm going to piss off a lot of people with my takes. And who knows? Maybe if you get me drunk enough, I'll be on there at karaoke night as well. So we'll have to see.
I love it. I will sing some karaoke songs with everyone afterwards. It's going to be so much fun. So make sure, we're going to try and really get this stuff, get the ball rolling, get everything out there. Make sure you guys try to plan to make it. Meet all of us. Like I said, we got 2 guests coming. Also, to make it even more interesting, we're going to be rolling through everyone's preseason predictions, wins, losses, scores, etc. But we're going to be tracking our internal groups of the Vols ATB Crew, and you guys get to vote on a punishment for the loser. So whoever loses at the end of the season is going to have to do some sort of punishment, and we are going to announce what that is at the live show. So lots to look forward to for anyone listening.
Jesus.
I know that if we're all making the punishment, especially our live audience, the mindset that we have with our comment section and considering the past week after week, I'm just scared for whoever does have to lose, and I'm sure it's not going to be me though. So
I know it's not going to be me.
It definitely won't be me. However, I do say if I do get the worst record, I fear to God what my haters out there are going to be like. My punishment will be so.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it'll be rough. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt. Of course, it all will have to be within reason. So we will pick a few options and then let y'all decide on the choice, and then we will go with it. We will definitely make it happen because we stand by our words here at the Vols ATB Crew. So diving on into it, we're going to start out with the allegations that everyone has been talking about all week. So officially, it's 18 level 1 violations totaling about $60,000 in the Pruitt era. But most of them are super freaking minor. Literally, you guys have any idea that taking a fucking shirt that's worth $10 or $20 is a violation? Who is educating not only the public, but the players on this type of shit? I had no idea. How would anyone know that?
Yeah, obviously, there's no idea of way of knowing, but Drew, a 3 or 4 year long process, the Trey Wallace massacre on Vols football and Vols athletics, finally coming to an end, coming out finally via the Athletic and Sports Illustrated. 18 level 1 violations, totaling found of about $60,000 in play, mostly from visits going all around. But we all knew what was going on. We all knew what was happening. Going in, seeing who's all involved, how all the dominoes of people getting kind of processed out, players going, finally entering the portal, even with the coaching staff, a few names there and all. Drew, how does it all kind of unfold there? It's a mess. What's going on there?
It is. It's just you can't imagine how ridiculous all this was during Pruitt's era. There was something shady going on because the guy he can't even form a sentence, much less recruit a person to come to Tennessee. So you knew there was some money thrown around, but you never thought in a million years that his wife was involved in all of this. She provided over $12,500 in cash card payments, 25 payments of $500 each, and $3,000 in cash rent payments for a player and mother from September of 2018 up till March of last year. So even after he got fired, they were still paying this mysterious player, like giving him money and his mother money as well. And the gifts began during his recruiting process, continued after he enrolled at Tennessee and played for Tennessee. It represents most of the $23,260 in cash and gifts given to the player by the Pruitts, Shelton Felton, linebacker coach Brian Niedermeyer, and Drew Hughes, who was the director of player personnel. Now, back in early 2020, Drew Hughes actually left for South Carolina for the same position. He was named in 3 Level 1 violations of this whole entire, what the findings the NCAA had. And he helped arrange thousands of dollars in cash in hotel stays, meals, entertainment, transportation, game day parking, and team apparel. Now, I do admit with Flo, I think it's kind of silly and ridiculous that team apparel is apparently a violation. I mean, like, they're going to your school. I mean, like, what do you expect them to wear? Rivals colors? I mean, like, but I think the one big thing, though, about this is that we already knew that Shelton Felton and Brian Niedermeyer were involved in this. However, we didn't know that not only Casey Pruitt was involved, but defensive coordinator Derek Inslee. And long story short, these 3, stooges, Niedermeyer and Derek Inslee and Shelton Felton, they would go, and I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah,
they would go to the Crown Plaza Hotel in downtown Knoxville, give out bags of cash to the reception at the entrance of the hotel, and then for those employees to go to the recruits' hotel rooms and just leave the bags of cash to that. And then on top of that, these morons did it during the COVID lockdowns when there was no recruiting allowed at all. So, the most infuriating thing is that we cheated our asses off and got our ass kicked by Georgia State at home and then lost by 25 to Vanderbilt on the road as well. So it's like, not only we cheated and tried to cheat like Ole Miss, we didn't even get the benefits out of it. I mean, like, he is the worst coach in the history of Tennessee football. I mean,
bro, it just shows like he is so fucking stupid that he couldn't even get the players with bags of cash. Like, that's just top tier embarrassing. No wonder he didn't want it to come out. Just imagine how bad they all look now. I mean, it's horrible. At least get some wins out of it if you're going to do it. Jeez.
But here's the thing, though. It's like, if you're going to cheat, at least cheat more than $60,000. I mean, odd. Like, that's a really bad NIL deal for an offensive lineman now. I mean, and this was the thing. It was like Niedermeyer would go to these recruits' high schools, and then after their game, like, just casually just give them $500 on the sidelines. And then, try to arrange, their flights to there and all this stuff. I mean, it was poorly executed. I mean, and we didn't get any of the benefits out of it. Then we got an NCAA investigation. But luckily, though, and shout out to Trey Wallace, our savior of Tennessee football, all this came out, and we didn't have to owe Pruitt any of his $12.5 million clause. So, and we wound up getting Josh Heupel, which none of us really thought he would have actually turned out the way he did. So there is some positives to this, but 18 level 1 violations. That's actually, that's 6 more than Ole Miss had during the Hugh Freeze era. So not good. We cheated more than Ole Miss, and we didn't even get anything out of it. So just all around embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I think the fact that you had kids showing up to your hotels, that people know where your visitors are going to a hotel. And I mean, obviously the team apparel thing is kind of crazy when there's 20, 25 classified kids that are going on unofficial visits and getting being able to put on a uniform and pants and everything. So I don't understand the difference. If you can go to a school and visit, why you can't, get the apparel that goes with it. And, you go home with gloves, etc. So, but the fact that, not only did this, not affect on the win-loss record when you go into cheating, but on the recruitment trail, Amarius Mims, Darnell Washington, 2 guys that went to Georgia that, for a fact that in this investigation that Pruitt dropped bags to, that they took it and still committed to Georgia, took our money and ran. So in all, it was a mess. And then you have, and
he didn't have to return that. They were like, you don't have to return it.
And then it comes out, that Georgia obviously had a play of, turning us in, of being one of the many schools that reported it, understanding what they were being told from Amarius and Darnell. So obviously Georgia hopped on that and got Tennessee going down. They know Pruitt was up and Kirby was doing. But the fact that all that happened, and then you have other coaches that, you barely got some wins, going 3-7, 5-7, getting one bowl win in your whole tenure against Indiana, where you were down 3 touchdowns for a fact, like absolutely crazy. You have a guy like Eli Drinkowitz today coming out saying, hey, I'm going to add some more wins to my record because the Tennessee allegations, and talking about Pruitt and his wife, and just kind of putting in like a smear on Tennessee. And like, all in all, it was proven what he did, but it's still a smear to Tennessee, where other coaches are going to, still to this day using it against us in recruiting, Kentucky, other schools, and tight battles in recruiting. So just an overlooming problem. Tennessee did their best, like the NCAA said, that everyone should do what Tennessee did and control it how they did. And hopefully with, 18 level ones, that's a lot in this day and age of football. And probably 10 years ago, that's a death penalty. But I think with our leniency, it might help out in the end. But what a mess that these guys, high school level coaches, staff, we knew they were dumb. We knew they didn't know their vegetables or ABCs, everything else in the book, how to wear a mask properly. These guys just, it's a mess.
Well, that's commenting on the dumb portion. Like, we do know just how dumb Pruitt is. So I'm not the first to say that he obviously, this was a learned behavior. He learned this from somewhere. He did not just come up with this on his own. We all know where that came from. Second of all, I just want to say, there's no way after the NCAA praised sent a literal praise letter about how good the staff at UT handled it. I don't see any way that a bowl ban even happens, especially after they changed that new ruling that they didn't want to have bowl bans in the future. That was just this past week by the NCAA. But I don't care if we lose 16 wins. I want to throw Pruitt's entire history down the freaking toilet and move on. It was a shit show anyways. In fact, I barely even watched it. It was that bad.
Let's say, though, for Drinkwitz to be toting around on national radio, be like, oh, this is a few more wins for me. It's like, buddy, it's like your team is such hot garbage that you're bragging about getting vacated wins. Like, that is embarrassing as hell. I mean, my God, not even Vanderbilt does that. I mean, it's just like, so just speaking of the levels, and I mean, seriously, we had a head coach where he wore his freaking ass as if he was E.T., in the basket of the bicycle. You're telling me this guy was trying to was going to be able to convince Amarius Mims and Darnell Washington to come here? No chance. But the thing is, though, I know the official notice of allegations says 60,000. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not
There's
saying
no shot.
I'm not saying this is just quote unquote my gut feeling. It was definitely way more than 60,000. So, which once again should speak into the volumes of how horrible, as a head coach, a manager, whatever you want to call it, that Jeremy Pruitt was of this football program. And so, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to punish, especially with NIL. And gave Nico a very good lucrative deal. Yeah, but I think he'll get a ban for life from college football, or at least a show cause of 10 years, like they did with Donnie Tyndall. And you best believe that Niedermeyer will never coach a game of college football ever again.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I agree with Lowe's original statement. The fact that not wanting to remember the whole Pruitt tenure, if we had to vacate wins, like Drinkowitz said, I'm kind of all for it. I don't whatever, nothing really to brag about there anyway. I think it's funny though, coming at us in Tennessee, the fact after we just took the number 1 player in the state of Missouri, and all the people under the comments were like, oh, this, investigation is going to make all these guys flip, all the Nico rumors, or Shandavian Bradley or Caleb Hand. Tennessee's, people are mad that Tennessee's going strong in this NIL era, and I obviously don't see it kind of affecting us going forward. I think Tennessee did a really good job last year, the Bowling Green game and Pitt, and a couple of early games. A lot of recruits weren't allowed to show up. The people they didn't release that kind of statement out there. So Tennessee kind of took care of it under the wraps last season. I think if you see it overall, it might be some scholarship reductions, or I think that kind of won't happen though, because you can't really reduce scholarships now because you have the 85-man max limit. As long as you follow that, you can recruit how many ever players you want. So Tennessee is kind of getting their way out of the gutter via the new NCAA rules. And if that kind of goes forward and, being the cooperative way they did, maybe like a couple like visit restrictions or like kind of being closely monitored. But I don't think like bowl games or anything like that. I think that Pruitt and then like their whole college career, like his statement after the fact of what they came out after the allegations came out from Sports Illustrated, it was kind of like basically like no comment because like I got caught, like that's what it is. So I definitely see like a show clause coming for all three of those guys, him, Niedermeyer, and Derek Ansley, all probably going to have to, be coordinators in the NFL or another league somewhere. So it's just a whole mess though, Drew.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is. But I think the one thing that probably would do as far as punishment goes is like maybe limit like official visits that we can have for recruits. I think that's like a possibility. I mean, when you consider that we fired the entire staff once we kind of like did our own investigation, and even the athletic director, a lot of people want to talk about how this is going to tarnish Pruitt's, his time at Tennessee or as a head coach. I'll tell you who's it's going to tarnish, and it's Philip Fulmer. That's right. I'm going.
Facts. Go after.
And I don't care. I'm not letting.
Let's say, that's facts because the NCAA they praise our administration now, but that's all Danny White. Everyone else, that he's brought on in this short amount of time in the past 2 years, who met all this mess happen, who was involved under the table and is probably not going to admit it, that we kind of paid to walk away $900,000 to walk away over the span of 2 years.
Exactly.
Philip Fulmer, the man who came in here originally and ruined it as a head coach, and then he got his hands on an AD spot. And it's just, he let it happen. He was out there coaching the dang kids on the field. That was one of the violations. Philip Fulmer was out there coaching kids under the Pruitt administration, under the tenure. Exactly. And that was one of the violations by the NCAA.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up that you guys, we talked about some of the potential punishments, but we've already put on sanctions on ourselves. And with the 85 people, like the 85-man scholarship limit, we only have, I believe, 79 or 80 right now. So we're already still under that 85 limit anyways. And if we keep it that way, that's more sanctions that we're putting on ourselves this season too, on top of last season. And they've already praised us. None of those people are at the university anymore, thank God. And I really just don't see anything else they could really possibly do besides just, like you guys said, the minimum, like recruit visits things. They don't really have much to stand on at this point after that new ruling with NIL. I don't see how they could just reverse it all. So I don't know why I see some people freaking out, or why anyone would be like, oh, we're going to lose our recruiting class. I think these recruits know better. I mean, we literally got a praise letter by the NCAA for just how phenomenal we've been.
I mean, I think people are scared because they think, oh, the NCAA is after Tennessee, and what happened with Bruce Pearl in our recent history. Afraid that we think it's some type of punishment for that. But let's go back. You know what? Like, I'm still pissed off about Fulmer. Let's go back to that real quick, okay? This man led a coup d'etat on the athletic department, got Curry fired, okay? And then we had the opportunity to hire Mel Tucker, and this dumbass hired Pruitt instead. I mean, he could have saved our program, but he's so gullible, and he has no idea what he's doing, just like he did the last 10 years of our football program. No one ever wants to admit that, but it's true. And he completely ruined it. He put it in worse shape than he did when he got fired in 2008. I didn't even think that was possible.
Yeah, the whole saga of John Curry going against the UT boosters, and then going out there and trying to hire Mike Leach. Got the signature, took it back, trying to get the signature of the president at the time, and it just didn't work out. Just to get fired, just to bring in Fulmer, have the opportunity to hire Mel Tucker, some other guys on the board, and then you go to Bama, you hire a Bama guy, Jeremy Pruitt. We just kind of knew right then and there. We all knew deep down, like everyone hated the hire to begin with. Like, oh, let's ride the way, like to be better. Like we had to bring someone in from Bama. He brought the whole staff over, brought Niedermeyer. We praised him, called him Moose, had the whole fucking saga. I think though, going back to like Lowe's statement about the official visit thing, and we're talking about how that's going to go down. Especially like, getting the number one player in Missouri, and Davian Bradley, he never OV'd here for an official visit. Like he just committed to Tennessee. So I think like even with the NIL era and what Tennessee's already building with the class and like all the friendly connections that we have, like with Jack Luttrell, John Slaughter, Sylvester Smith, and Davian Bradley, all those guys being close, especially with like the 7-on-7 ball, like they're becoming so popular with top prospects. Like kids are going to want to come to Tennessee with all the buzz going on anyway. And not only that, but Tennessee getting involved with the 2023 and 2024 top 10 classes there. I just don't think like in this day and age, there's no stopping Tennessee and what they're kind of building NIL front. I think they're offering too much good stuff on the table, and they're kind of ahead of the curve right now. And as long as they stay there, I don't see any like NCAA repercussions because they did everything the right way.
It would be extremely hypocritical of them to give us punishment for a rule that's basically legal now, and schools are paying 15, 20 times more than what we were alleged to pay. So, I mean, fine. They didn't even give Miami anything 10 years ago when Devin Shapiro, their booster, was like allowing recruits to have cocaine and strippers on his yacht. So,
Yikes. I mean, I was going to agree with you on the kind of price tag on recruits, like in this day and age of college football. Like when you talk about Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day, like they both come out with quotes about like, oh, I'm going to need $13 million for this class. Or like or Lincoln Riley was talking about linemen, like a first-round lineman is going to be like a first-round lineman for you. He's going to cost like $1 million to sign for over the 4 years. And you look at schools like Miami right now that are like getting like, don't even have their own indoor facility. They don't have a full field of an indoor facility. They don't have their on-campus field. They don't have a stadium. They play in the Dolphin Stadium 35 minutes away. This team has landed like 3 5-stars, 2 4-stars, and is going absolutely crazy just by hiring Mario Cristobal. And then you look at like Bama over the last 3 days. I think they've had like 3 5-stars, one in 2024. Got Caleb Downs today. 2 of their quarterbacks are 5-star quarterbacks. ESPN, they put Eli Holstein and Dylan Lonergan in the top 10 of the quarterbacks and dropped Nico to like the 37th player in the country. Absolutely ridiculous. But, all these teams, like they're taking advantage of it. And like, you can't tell me that these programs, Alabama and Miami, have been known for just being able to like do it right, do it the right way. Like,
that's such horseshit. Like I said, I mean, Pruitt learned it from who?
Exactly.
He
didn't just bring it out of his ass. Like he brought it from Nick Saban. I mean, yeah.
I would say Jimbo, quite honestly. He was at Florida State for quite some time. So
probably both of them. I don't care. This is our podcast. We say what we want. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
If we're gonna be real, the only reason I hired Joe is because he was bald and fat and he had a southern accent just like himself. God. Could have had Mel Tucker, guys.
I think having Mel Tucker would have put this fan base in shambles, Drew.
It wouldn't even been a worse situation. I mean, we almost hired Greg Schiano. It could have not been any worse. I mean,
yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, our top 3 choices, and the 2 that we tried to hire out of the three candidates. I mean,
Guys, I'm just a firm advocate. I think we had to go through all of this bullshit, and Heupel is just going to turn it all around. I'm not kidding.
I mean,
Tennessee cannot just be handed something nice. We got to go through all the bullshit first before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of to swerve it, but not kind of swerve it. It's kind of the same topic. Josh Heupel, like at the SEC Media Day, showing up there with Hendon Hooker, Cedric Tillman, Trayvon Flowers this past week. There was like a lot of good quotes and like how he's like selling the brand in total, like going into this second season, having all this success on the trail, and like the whole investigation. It really wasn't even brought up during that process. It was about like what Hype was building offensively. They didn't even ask about the defense really until like it was one of our guys, Austin Price, asking about Tennessee's defense. Like shows you how much that people like are trying to rave in the SEC and about going fast in the offense. And like the fact that like the defense, like they're all kind of seeing these doing that Big 12 approach where like you get fast on the edge and have fast approaching corners on the side. And hey, they might get beat, but you're going to go there and make plays. You're going to get beat. And then you're going to put that offense back on the field and go back and play fast. So having that, I thought it was really good to see the guys sell the brand well. Hendon Hooker mentioning Spire, and then I think, it was all well approached, but he was kind of bold too. Like you had a psycho like Jimbo Fisher that was like, he didn't shut up his whole thing. And then you had quiet, bland guys like Clark Lee and Billy Napier. I thought, presenting himself well. And then the quote that was like, who are you taking in the end? Are you taking Hendon Hooker or are you taking Josh Heupel? And he was like, I'm taking Hendon Hooker. And he's like, why? He's got better coaching. Like he's just, he's bought in. He's confident in himself and having a coach that's confident. And, I think that's what Tennessee and us as fans need going into year 2. Obviously, there's like restrictions and limits with what he has on the roster right now. But you look at the next 2 classes and the top 10 classes, building in every important spot. And they've missed on a couple guys, but they're going. So I just thought that was really good to see how they are kind of building the brand with like 30 days away from kickoff on September 1st. So.
Well, I just, leading in, like you said, talking about year 2 under Heupel, I mean, we were going to talk about this anyways, but we have 8 Vols who made all preseason all SEC. The first team was Byron Young. Second team was Hendon Hooker, Cedric Tillman, and Darnell Wright. And then third team was Cooper Mays, Jeremy Banks. He probably would have made a lot higher if he didn't have so many personal penalties. And then Trayvon Flowers and Paxton Brooks. So going into year 2, when none of us knew what the hell was going to happen in year 1, just look at the turnaround, and that's a lot for us. I mean, that's honestly, I think that's pretty exciting to lead into year 2 with something so positive.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I was gonna say I pointed like to the I point to the guys that just got drafted. Though, like we got 6 guys drafted. Also the past season and the year 1 under him with guys that were flipped around in your whole progression at Tennessee that never saw the field and then go out there and get drafted. Matthew Butler, Bayless Jones-Shad, and then Theo Jackson. And then I go back to this list now. I think Cedric Tillman. If there was 2 wide receivers on the first team, Cedric Tillman should definitely be the second wide receiver on the first team. Him kind of being a second team after being only 60 yards his first year and then having over 1,000 yards in year 1 under Heupel. I thought that was kind of good. And then I think guys like Byron Young and Trayvon Flowers, they're poised for a breakout season as well. But sorry, Drew.
No, it's totally fine.
Cool.
Now, I think like the big thing about this though is like, we expected quite a few people play from our offense on the offensive side be preseason all SEC. But guys, we have 3 defensive players. And Grant, I mean, it's third team and 2 third teams and Byron Young being first, but like that's big. I mean, like to really for even coaches to acknowledge that we have talent on both sides of the ball. It's been a hot minute where we've had that type of, diversity of that type of talent on both sides. And I think honestly, I don't know if Byron Young will be first team all SEC by the end of the year, but I'm going to tell you right now, Jeremy Banks is. Like Jeremy Banks will be a first team all SEC linebacker this year. I think he's going to be toe-to-toe easily. I mean, honestly, if he had, just cut even half of the personal foul, penalties that he had last year, I think he would have been at least second team. So I think it speaks high praise for Heupel and this program that even the media and coaches are acknowledging we have. The fact that we have 8 guys on the preseason all SEC team is like huge, especially for year 2.
So yeah, I think Jeremy Banks is gonna have to shine a lot because I was kind of saying as we're far away that the linebacker position I'm kind of not really worried. You're gonna have a Juwan Mitchell coming back, but I'm kind of I've been kind of praising Juwan Mitchell, but I don't really know what we're gonna kind of get out of him. Is his mindset gonna be there? A lot of people don't know. Going leading up, it's kind of thinking that he might there might have to be some stepping up from these early freshmen and Caleb Perry and Elijah Herring, like we've been saying, that Juwan Mitchell just might not be there and that Aaron Beasley might have to be that second team guy. And you have to go back on another guy that played a lot last year, Solon Page, that redshirted and came back. I just, kind of worry about that. I think Jeremy Banks, he's going to obviously have to step up. I think last year was 133 tackles, as a linebacker. I think he's a better linebacker than Henry To'oTo'o, just in my opinion. I don't think Henry To'oTo'o is even in the top 3 best linebackers at Bama right now, for being honest. Maybe that's how much talent they have, or maybe just, just me being me as a Vols fan. But I think definitely going to have to show up. Probably would be a definitely first or second team if he did kind of clean it up a little bit. But he's a leader, man. He's been through a lot, and the fact that he's still doing, coming back under year 2 under Heupel, he could have, probably transferred. He probably got a lot of buzz in his ear, but he's bought in, and he's trying to get that high stock. So I appreciate what he's doing. So
yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to see Juwan Mitchell step up though, because he's going to have the chip on his shoulder where
I hope so.
I mean, a lot of people, because, he didn't play at all last year, whether it's because of injuries or whatever. But this is a guy where a couple of years ago, he was the leading tackler for Texas. He's one of the most talented guys we have in that spot. And I think he's going to show people what he can prove and what his worth is. But yeah, I think Elijah Herring is going to be good as well. And, hopefully Roman Harrison will be able to make impact as well. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think that the injury was definitely a real injury. The scar on his shoulder is not there for no reason. He had a surgery. So, I mean, it was definitely a torn rotator cuff, or what it was, like a torn something in his shoulder. So, I mean, coming back from that, also mentally, though, stepping back in, not playing a lot at Texas, already transferring out, come to Tennessee, play like 3 or 4 games, pick game. I think it was the injury that happened in that game. So, missed the whole rest of the season, kind of seeing the team go down, seeing like how a guy like Jeremy Banks step up and other guys stepping up. Coming back, you have to, earn your role still under, they had to do all the evaluations when they first got there. So if they do, play a guy like Elijah Herring or Caleb Perry, I just hope that mentally there, like second or third team, he does show up. I think it was like 100 and something crazy tackles. He has that dog in him. He's a JUCO product. Like they always have that dog in him. They always have that chip on their edge. It's in him, but can we see it come out when the lights get dark? Is just the question. So.
Absolutely. Sorry, Brando, because you cut out on my end. I think you're probably fine everywhere else. I don't know why it does that sometimes. But I'm glad. Does anyone else have anything to comment about that before we go into ESPN FPI predictions?
No.
No. Let's see. All right. So ESPN FPI predictions. They have Tennessee going 7-5 this upcoming season with losses to Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Kentucky, and Pitt. I'll just save my shit for after. I'll let you guys go first.
I mean, I might have the orange colored glasses on, but I definitely see like an 8-4, 9-3. 8-4 is the worst case scenario. Tennessee comes out hot like they did last year. I think 7-5, kind of cutting it. Obviously, we know how these rankings are. We talked about it last week and the week before that with the Hendon Hooker and the quarterback thing from FPI and the PFF guys over there. Like these lists, not too bad. I think they even have us losing to Kentucky, if I'm not wrong, like by like 55% chance. Like absolutely ridiculous. Barely have us beaten South Carolina. Barely have us beaten Missouri. Like I just thought, obviously, disgusting. I think we're definitely going 8-4, 9-3. Tennessee is definitely going to get to like a bowl game, a Citrus Bowl. I think everyone's kind of putting out those predictions now. I've been seeing like a bunch, like everyone's kind of doing like their weekly thing. I've been seeing like a lot of 9-3s, 8-4s, mostly 9-3s. No one's getting like too confident, which I like a lot because obviously we don't need to be stupid and like embarrass ourselves if stuff does go south. But to say 7-5, that's pretty fucking disgusting. And I think Drew even, Drew, I know you're kind of on the down slope there, but you can agree that 7-5 is kind of pushing it too low, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I don't think we lose to Kentucky.
No
right?
shot.
But I think like Pitt or Kentucky's like where either one will be a win and one will be a loss. And
Nope.
because it's like I mentioned in the last 4.5, 5 shows, we haven't won an out of conference Power 5 game in 25 years. So I have no reason to think that granted, they don't have Kenny Pickett, but Pittsburgh always has a great defensive line that cause issues, and this is the ACC defending champs. All right, like they're still a very respectable team. I think we'll win one or the other, but I hate to admit it, guys, but ESPN's FPI thing, it's been pretty damn accurate the last few years. I mean, they had us going 5-7 in 2018. We went 5-7. 2019, they were a little bit off the mark. They had us going 4-8, which we could have very easily have gone 4-8. 2020 though, they had us going 4-6 and 3-7, and last year they had us going 7-5. So, I mean, it's accurate for a reason. I still think we'll probably wind up going 8-4, but I mean, come on, guys, you should at least be happy that for y'all's sake that they acknowledge Florida was a win. So, I mean,
that is true. That is true. I'm going to acknowledge that, but I just want to say I just do not understand why in the fuck they think that Kentucky is going to beat us. Where is the logic behind this? I really, truly want to know because
lost Wandale Robinson, lost their offensive coordinator. Their fucking running back is probably missing this season because he has a DUI charge and he didn't show up for court. They got Roman Jefferson that we missed out on because we didn't want to take him. So they took that glory. They think D. Beckwith is going to be a stud. Respectfully, D didn't play here for a reason. I just think that Kentucky, they're obviously all kind of glorifying that. And respectfully, they're all kind of glorifying that for a reason and going into this season thinking they have a chance because, obviously basketball is on the down low. Baseball, they got the series sweep over us, but they didn't do anything else there. They have to kind of, depend on football. They had a 10-win season somehow last year. So they kind of, they have to be humbled, man. It's this year. Mark Stoops, he's not a good coach. He gets a promotion and a year added. He's an okay coach, but when you get an extra year on your contract for winning 6
that fucking disaster of a program.
When you get an extra year on your contract for winning 6 games, you are okay with mediocrity. And it's okay, though.
He's had more recent 10-win seasons than Tennessee has in almost 20 years. So, look, I don't like Mark Stoops.
He got beat by Jeremy Pruitt.
He still won 10 games.
You agreed with me on this 2 weeks ago. We got beat by Jeremy Pruitt.
Look,
Terry Wilson strolled in there in Knoxville, and they got boat raced by Jeremy Pruitt and Jared Garantano.
Look, I agree. It was crazy. Facts. He did lose to Jeremy Pruitt. That's correct. However, he's not a bad coach. I'm not going to say he's one of the top 5 coaches in the SEC, but you cannot deny the fact that he turned that dumpster fire of a program into somewhat respectable. And I think one of the reasons why so many people are hyped up about Kentucky is that they're coming off another 10-win season where they won the Citrus Bowl for the second time in 5 years, a bowl game that we haven't been to since 2001. Okay, they've had 2 10-win seasons in the last 5 years, and they got a very high-rated quarterback that's returning. I don't think Will Levis is that good. Okay, first of all, the guy puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
That's what I know.
Second of all, he threw over 12. I think he threw 12 or 13 interceptions last year. I don't think he's that good, but there's a reason why people are hyped up about Kentucky, and I understand that. However, and do not even twist it, say I'm saying this, I still think we're going to beat them. But that's the reason, and it's validated. They have proven why they should have that hype. They've proven it more than we have. You can't argue that.
I guess I'm fine with it because I would rather deal with that. I'd rather deal with ESPN FPI predictions being wrong, which I think that is definitely wrong, and just show up when it's game day. I don't really give a shit about everyone's little thoughts. All I care about is what we do each week and hopefully get some dubs. But I just thought that I really do. I guess I get your point, Drew. It's just that when I look at talent ratio and what we're bringing back in our offense compared to this specific Kentucky team, I don't give a shit what they done last season or the past couple seasons. I'm looking at this season and this talent matchup, and I just don't see it at all.
I'm not saying it. I'm not look, now you guys are just twisting it. I never said Kentucky. I'm saying, though, the reason why they have all this hype is validated because of what they have done the last few years. And they have, we can argue about it, but Will Levis is a good quarterback. He's not the best quarterback in the SEC, and he's probably not even the best in the division, but he is still a top 4 quarterback in the conference. So it's understandable. However, that does not mean that we're going to lose to Kentucky, though. So stop twisting my words.
No, okay. So if the two games we're going to debate are Pitt and Kentucky, I'm going to look at the quarterback. So with Kentucky, Will Levis puts mayonnaise in his coffee, eats rotten bananas, TikTok guy. His highlight of his this season was probably going Superman in the end zone just to be the angry face mad meme after we came back and won. So that was kind of that. I think going in that, all the losses they have, the running back kind of trouble, losing your OC, kind of trying to build something kind of back up. Yeah, you went 10 wins, but you kind of know what Alontae Taylor said last year. We don't lose to Kentucky. I don't expect that to kind of really change. Obviously, Tennessee was really excited to walk away with that win, but they're coming into Neyland this year, and it's not Jeremy Pruitt at the helm anymore. Josh Heupel, I don't think he understands. I think he understands that you don't lose to Kentucky in Neyland, especially. And I don't think they're going to let that one kind of slip by. When I look at Pitt, the 2 quarterbacks, Will Levis and then Keaton Slavis that transferred in from USC, on those lists we talked about last week, them kind of being on the top 10 and Hendon Hooker being nowhere to be found. Pitt, Keaton Slavis obviously got embarrassed in the Pac-12. USC was on a downfall, got beat out by Jackson Dart. Let a guy like Brew McCoy and Drake London. Obviously, Drake London lucked out, was kind of big in the draft, a top 5, top 7 pick by the Atlanta Falcons. But, guys, not getting their true talent at USC. That's probably why Lincoln Riley got brought in. Keaton Slavis, I don't think he's going to be any good. You lose Jordan Addison at the wide receiver, your only real threat. Pitt, the last few years, never had a running the ball presence. They couldn't run the ball on us. They were just kind of passing at Kenny Pickett. Obviously, Tennessee plays another top 5 drafted quarterback again that gets, shown against Tennessee, just like they did with Zach Wilson and BYU. I don't think we go to Heinz Field and lose this game. We go into Heinz Field, go into Pitt, we win early. Like, it's
not Heinz Field anymore. So.
Yeah, they changed it. I know. We could have had the perfect ketchup mustard, beautiful combo.
It's now known as the ass. Like, literally, if you
right,
it is literally ass. Like, so,
the ass,
which is fitting for the city of Pittsburgh, of course.
But I think it's crazy because Josh Heupel at UCF, he lost one to Narduzzi and then won one the next year. Obviously, last year came into a lot of lost talent. He started Joe Milton, and then Hendon Hooker came in late. We finally found out that Hendon Hooker was our quarterback. Tennessee after that, and even under Joe Milton, the first quarter point differential, 28 points. I don't expect that to change. That's a known staple under Josh Heupel. He always scripts his first 14 2 to 3 series. Starting off, he has those plays scripted into practice and then kind of just lets it loose with the offense. I think he knows what he's getting into when he goes up there to Pitt, and I think that he's going to get started fast. Last year, Pitt had 16 graduate seniors, like extra grad seniors. So I just think that's, a big loss. Also losing the offensive pieces. He's not Kenny Pickett, and they don't have Jordan Addison. And I mean, as long as we're lucky and though by God, this guy doesn't have a breakout game against us, I think we win that game.
He definitely will. There's no doubt.
I don't see those two games being a toss-up, and the fact that, those two are like the biggest toss-ups on the FBI, but they have us beating Florida. I mean, the Florida one's accurate. I thought Drew would kind of be mad that they picked us to beat Florida.
I mean, I'm not necessarily mad. I just don't I don't believe it. I mean, I'm going to be against it until kickoff, but
yeah, I mean, we got Peter booing you in the comments. He's pissed.
Oh, pipe down.
Peter's in full effect early.
I mean, you have to expect on the road that we're going to be an underdog. I mean, that's I feel like that's reasonable, especially, going up to Pitt. Defending ACC champs. I know they're not the same team last year, but guys, we haven't won a Power 5 conference road game since UCLA Peyton's senior year in '97. And that team was ass, and we nearly blew that game. We were up 35-0, and we almost lost.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Pitt last year, they came into our bars and kind of flooded us. I fully expect. I know there's some Tennessee fans up there north in Pennsylvania that can go to, Heinz Field or the ass or whatever you want to call it now and show up and show out. There's no reason we don't go up there and show out. I saw a couple Pitt games last year, when I was watching their home game highlights. They have a really, really big field, and they're not really loud at home because they're playing in an NFL stadium. They don't play in their kind of own stadium. So a lot of that space is kind of not filled. I just imagine that we travel with 10, 15,000 people that kind of show up there. That would be kind of crazy. We kind of always kind of go on those neutral games, but to go into a true road game, kind of show up, that'd be kind of nice. So
I don't know. I think we've discussed it before, but as we get so much closer to the season, that Pitt game is absolutely pivotal for the rest of the season. Absolutely,
yeah.
In my opinion, a must-win to set the tone for everything else.
I think.
Yeah.
If there's biggest game of the year, I think it really is that Pitt game. If we lose that game, we go 1-1 and 2-1 to Florida. We don't really have that high. The fan base isn't really going to be that fired up, But if we go and win that one 3-0, playing Florida, game day's probably going to be there. Vols will be a top 15 team most likely, and night game at Neyland, it will be rocking. Yeah, I mean that's a huge game, and we can finally get that monkey off the back and win a meaningful road game as well. So out of conference.
If there's 3 things I remember last season, 3 series I remember, it's that last one overtime, Jalen Wright stretch against Purdue in the Music City Bowl, the last overtime Hendon Hooker going down, Joe Milton coming in for the Ole Miss game where he runs out of bounds, and the third one was Joe Milton overthrowing Jacob Warren, and then the long bomb to Jalen Hyatt in the Pitt game where he got knocked out and concussed, just for Hendon Hooker to come in and get screwed out of that first down late where we could have come back and won. All 3 games kind of coming down to crazy bullshit officiating. Obviously, next year, we addressed all these rules in the NCAA, and we're praising the NCAA, but the one thing they didn't fix, fake injuries and time management for going forward with TV times. They cared more about their TV time and kind of fixing the game and making it fair for us. So, obviously, there's going to be kind of those flaws, but
see, that's the thing, though. What I would recommend if I was Josh Heupel, right, and especially for the defense, we fake an injury every single down on defense.
Well, we did do that, though. That's the thing, Drew. Remember last year, every single time we scored fast after our defense came off the field, what would happen when you're at the game? Jackson Lampley or Jake Lampley or another lineman, Cooper Mays, goes down. Ah, my leg. He goes down. We wait, 5 more minutes for a kickoff, and we kick the ball off.
Everyone else.
Exactly. But that's the thing, though. The fact that we had to really kind of like deep down understand that we had to do that because it didn't just start with Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they went crazy with it. But Narduzzi did it early when he came into Knoxville when Tennessee was going fast with the tempo. And I guess like under the American Conference when he was at UCF, like if people did it there, I have no idea. But it probably went under the radar to the nation. But when you realize that you can kind of slow down like that, you see that like Lane Kiffin did it like every single play in 50-degree weather in October or something. It was just, I mean, come on, man. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like if we just do it every single down, it doesn't even matter if it's the first play of the game on defense for us. If we do it every single down, then the NCAA will finally have to get off their asses and actually do something for once over there in Indianapolis, and we'll finally get the rules that this sport deserves. So it might take the game 8.5, 9 hours, but you know what? That leaves you more time for getting beers at Neyland. So I think it's a win-win.
Draining that bank account for $30 beers, probably not.
Just for truly.
Yeah, marking them up with COVID now. So, or like not COVID, fucking inflation. Probably double.
All of it. Fuck it.
All of it. It's pretty. It's going to be out of control. I just can't wait. We are getting so close. Like,
it's like July 27th, 33, 32, 33 in counting because it's 7:47 p.m. So we'll be playing by that time. So, yeah. I mean, going back to the, I guess the original topic of all the media predictions and going from that and not only our records, but quarterbacks, players, not having like most of our guys probably on the top where they should be in list. I think it's, year 2, you really have to go out there and kind of shock it because we talked about all the time saying that the hope is that we have that big jump that everyone else has, all these big tenure coaches going from year 1 to year 2, and the talent's there. You just kind of have to reload it after. But if you can go out there and get it started, first points, get those big leads, get the fan base rocking, it'd be crazy, man. I can't wait. I'm excited for everything, all the renovations, 30 days.
Yeah, it's exciting. We gotta pipe down a little bit. Let's don't get too excited now. Let's don't get acting crazy with our predictions. So
I'm gonna be fucking crazy, bro.
8-4 is reasonable, and we should be happy if 8-4. That is an improvement from last year. That's a step in the right direction. Okay, so it's gonna be fine. We're gonna get better. Whatever your saying is, whether it's brick by brick or what. So we are going to get better.
What's the Eli Drinkowitz saying? What was it? May the 4th be what is it?
That guy's such a nerd. He's fucking.
I just scrolled on Twitter and the first thing I saw was 62-24 that we did to them this year. So
it's like what Jake Miller says. He looks like Stu from The Hangover. He's just like the loser version of Stu, pretty much.
Down horrendous.
If you're going to speak of countdowns, that means that we're only 23 days from the live event. Just saying.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Countdown for them.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
Box Bar and Grill with the Juice Man.
Juice Man.
And Mr. Fleming.
Yeah, if you missed the announcement earlier, we're just nonchalantly announcing it again. So that's how excited
Reminders, y'all better be there. We're gonna have crazy. Drew's whole dad's family reunion's coming in.
Yeah, I know.
Counties represented, no doubt about it.
Oh my god!
Also,
it's gonna be a dangerous environment.
Yes, they had Hendon Hooker and Darnell Wright and Cedric Tillman as second team, Byron Young as first team. What are y'all's predictions out of the 8 guys that got named the preseason All-SEC team, where they're going to wind up being? I'll be honest with you, I'm expecting a big year from Byron Young, but I don't think he's going to be first team, though.
I'm going to –
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, Byron Young, I kind of think he is because, I don't know, just, like, I hate to, like, obviously it has to be on the field, but, like, the workout, like, photos and videos, like, Tyler Barron and him, they look like absolute beasts. And then you have the young guys on the edge. If Tennessee can get, like, that physical play from Tyler Barron and Byron Young on the other side where Byron Young can kind of have it made easy from push on the interior D-line where he can get off the edge. That didn't happen a lot last year. That was kind of the struggle year 1 with Rodney Garner kind of getting under these guys and kind of getting them, like letting them all know it's going to be the same treatment. I think Byron Young is going to be a guy that shines, and from that JUCO story to now, like he's going to have a season where he can probably get 20 tackles. If not Byron Young, my guy's probably Trayvon Flowers, coming off the ACL last year, being a true leader, and then now coming back this year, deciding to come back, improve his stock. I think that guy is going to be a second or third round pick next year, probably with the Saints knowing our trajectory look with Vols players. But Trayvon Flowers, he's a guy that I think is going to be a top corner or top safety in the SEC this year. So
if I'm gonna go bold with my picks, and I'm gonna say Hendon Hooker and Cedric Tillman end up moving up to first team as for SEC this year. But also, I'm gonna shuffle Banks up to at least second, because I really do think he's gonna shine. Like we mentioned earlier, like if he would have just cleaned up those penalties slightly, I mean, he would have been.
Kid Mays.
In terms of everyone else, but I think Hendon Hooker's going to absolutely fucking shine this year. I think it'll be phenomenal. I don't give a shit, Drew.
I think he's going to have a fantastic year, but they're not going to pick him first team over Bryce Young. Like the SEC will not allow that to happen whatsoever. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to throw over 3,000 yards, and I think he's going to have over 35, 36, passing touchdowns this year. But
he should.
Going first team though. Cedric Tillman definitely is though. There's one guy. Tillman's most definitely going to be first team. I would be shocked if he's not at least second or first for that matter.
The only way that Cedric Tillman isn't first team is that Brew McCoy is really him, and he comes out and has like a 1,000-yard year himself. We have two 1,000-yard receivers, so we have a first and a second, or a second and a third team guy. Also, Jalen Hyatt last year playing. This kid played at 136, 140 pounds. He's 6'2", 6'3". Now it's like 180, playing tremendous. And then you have all the freshman receivers, Chaz Nimrod, Caleb Webb, Marker Squirrel White. So I think Tennessee is just going to, we're loaded at the wide receiver. But I think Cedric Tillman, I think there's going to be a lot of love. They're going to be going 4 wide. That's why I look at guys like I pick. But I think it's definitely another guy offensively that I wanted to talk. Jabari Small. He's not on any list for first, second, third, fourth team, but I think he has the potential. Obviously, Tennessee's right now looking for another back in the portal late, kind of nug there. But Jabari Small, man, he's been training like heck. Obviously, Tylen Evans gone. He played with a banged-up shoulder last year. Never got the fully came back to that Kentucky game where he had that highlight. I think he's going to be a guy that kind of shocks and kind of gets up there in the SEC going into his senior year. I think he's going to have a crazy year too. So,
yeah, I mean, we're loaded at running back if you really think about it, though. Jabari Small, who was the leading rusher last year, Jim Wright, who showed flashes. I think he's just got to be in the weight room a little bit more. And Justin Williams as well. I'm telling you, I really think Justin Williams is going to wind up being our 2 running back by the end of the year. I really think he's going to.
I think so too.
Yeah, what I heard is that obviously with Justin Williams, it's kind of like a learning curve going to the next level of college. The passing protection is kind of different from high school to college ball, so he's kind of still learning that. I think Tennessee, obviously they didn't take Ramon Jefferson because there was kind of some troubles there, kind of getting them in there with academic issues and stuff like that. But I'm hearing kind of there might be a late addition. There's guys like Marquise Stepp, a USC transfer that went to Nebraska. Tennessee's been talking to multiple transfers that are already at other schools, trying to kind of get them to pull out late and come in before it's too late. So another name to look there, kind of Marquise Stepp, USC. Would be a big back. I think Tennessee obviously wants a big back that, hey, he might not come in here and be an elite guy, but when it's third and short, we put him out there. He can go out there and kind of do what Tyon did last year before he got hurt and kind of have that double effect. And if you put that up with a guy like Jabari and give the keys to Jabari this year and let him run loose like that, and also have Jalen Wright year 2, a guy that's kind of hungry with how last year ended, I think that's kind of going to be big for that position too. So.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any other last or final comments before we shut off? We had a lot of content tonight for 3 people, essentially.
Yeah.
With Alex.
Yeah, I got Brandon. Long-time listener, first-time caller. What is the update in the status of Brew McCoy and his ability?
So I've heard that that hump, Josh Heupel at the SEC media day, he mentioned that Brew McCoy, he has to, get eligible to play, and that kind of threw Tennessee fans into shock because no one's even mentioned they would have like a reason not to be eligible to play after like all the court cases kind of got settled and everything. I don't think it's like anything illegal from everything I've heard. It's like a really small bump to get over, but also it's a bump in the road to consider that it's still a bump in the road. And how the NCAA kind of plays with us. You saw like with Cade Mays when he first came in, Darnell Wright, other guys, struggling to get eligible to play. I think this kind of, hold your breath until, he's eligible, but I think he's going to be eligible to play. I think everything will be fine there. And obviously Tennessee's expecting him to be on the other side of Cedric Tillman. So I think everything will be fine there. I don't think it's anything to look after. I think everything he kind of, played it right and did everything right. So it definitely is something to watch, though, for sure.
Think about it though as well. It's like even if they do, take their sweet precious time as they usually do, of course, of having our players being eligible. When you think about Jalen Wright, and then we also have, the Jimmy Callaway, Jimmy Holiday as well, and even like Worldwide and Caleb Webb. I mean, we got the talent at the wide receiver position is stupid. Like it is outrageous how loaded. As far as talent goes at that position alone. So I really hope Rue McCoy gets, ready.
I'm gonna blank.
But if he isn't for any reason whatsoever and it takes a couple games, I think we'll be fine.
I was almost about to blank, but another guy on the outside, Ramel Keaton, he's still out there growing too, and he's also been raved about by Hendon Hooker at SEC Media Day. So a guy on the outside, I think that Rue McCoy, we'd have to have a guy out there big, guy that can go out there and get a 50-50 ball. Ramel Keaton, he was the kind of guy that, hasn't shined a lot in game. He kind of did early last season, but, he has that ability to be that kind of freak athlete. And if he could show it, this year's the year to show it along with Jalen Hyatt. Like, there's a lot of guys at that position that should be able to break out if they're given the opportunity. So,
my God, we are stacked. I just can't even believe it.
Offensively, yeah, but, it's kind of
a completely different story on the defense side of the ball. I'm not going to lie. It feels like Ramel Keaton's been here for like 15 years.
Yeah, because he came in with Harrison Bailey and all that. So
yeah, seems like he was also coached under Butch and Dooley and even Kiffin as well.
No, yeah, I guess we didn't even talk about it last week because I guess we didn't do a show last week, but we got that commitment from wide receiver Nathan Leacock finally hopping in the boat. 3-star wide receiver out of North Carolina commits over North Carolina, and Michigan picks Tennessee. 6'4", 200-pound receiver. He can run a 4.4 and has like a crazy 40-inch vert already. Absolute crazy freak of an athlete. I know he was like the top wide receiver on both boards, and everyone's been raving. So he probably is going to end up as a 4-star along with many of our 3-stars. But I know for all the stargazers, kind of pumping the brakes. A huge addition to add with Cameron Selden. Like I mentioned, Tennessee's class still being top 10 in the country. I think it's 7th right now on every site. So if you care about the rankings and all like that. And then also Stanton Ramil expected to announce soon, and also expected Ricky Gibson, 3-star corner, to announce soon. Stanton Ramil, 4-star offensive lineman. That would be a huge addition. I think Tennessee is trending well there. So by the time next week or even our live show, probably more additions. So they're just keep on going. Good old content.
Yeah, absolutely. Brando with all the recruiting info that you ever need to know about. It's fabulous.
Living and breathing.
All right, Drew, any final thoughts?
I mean, not really. Other than, Pruitt sucks. Former.
Yeah, what a mess.
Back to Neyland Stadium. And yeah, I mean, 7-5, 8-4 seems pretty reasonable.
I like it. I agree with that statement, all of that statement. I hope we literally very soon never have to hear about the Pruitts again, even in his losses or wins or whatever. He's about, I don't give a shit anymore. Let's just move forward with the hype man, and I think the future's bright. Brando, anything else? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm quiet now. I'm good.
Okay, all right. Had to get the nuts there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we missed Alex tonight, as everyone knows. I'm not sure when he will be back, but I'm pretty positive that he's going to make the live show. So, between now and then, we will try to keep content rolling for you guys. And keep on the lookout, because I think pretty soon we're going to start to ask for suggestions for our punishment for the season loser. The season prediction loser of the pod. So I don't know. We should probably start asking for suggestions soon, and then we'll have y'all vote on it so we can announce it at the show. So lots to look forward to for us, and we're good. So until next time, go Vols.
Yep, go Vols, baby.
Go Vols.